In one Dadaism artwork, an artist apparently took a print of the Mona Lisa and drew a mustache and goatee on it. Real geckos can have other protuberances on their body as well as setae. These real protuberances can be in areas other than feet, and can even be on the head in some geckos. In a Dadaism world, these other protuberances of geckos have convergently evolved many times into mustaches and goatees. Real anole lizards, which aren't geckos, can also have protuberances apart from setae, and in the fictional world also evolved mustaches and goatees. Geckos evolving mustaches and goatees has happened on a version of the fictional terraformed planet Viridisi 42, as well as Earth. I just put the facial hair on drawings I had already drawn. I like speculative biology, but I think there are other ways to mix art and biology. The mustaches and goatees may help geckos get a mate. I'm not sure whether female geckos tend to also have the facial hair. Thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed. In real life, male anole lizards belonging to the species Anolis proboscis can have an appendage on their head, and males can be born with this structure. Some fictional geckos with goatees can be born with goatees and may have them as embryos. The goatees can be blonde in this young part of the gecko's development. Real geckos can have hair-like structures on their toes called setae. During this stage shown here, in real life some geckos lack setae on the outer scale surface, and before hatching, an outer periderm layer can be shed and can reveal setae. In the fictional world, the outer periderm layer may evolve to be shed earlier and earlier, leading to a goatee becoming visible sooner in development. This is assuming the outer periderm layer covers the head in real life, and I'm not sure how long the outer periderm layer lasts in real life. In real life, dewlaps can be flaps of skin beneath the chin, and that can be extended. Real Anolis proboscis lizards can apparently have smaller dewlaps than some other anoles. Real Anolis proboscis appendages can be soft and flexible, and they may be used in courtship. In the fictional world, goatees may be used to get a mate. However, because the appendage may be used in courtship, the fictional anole's goatee may not need to be as large and may be smaller than other geckos and anoles' goatees. Thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed. Did fictional fossil geckos and their fictional relatives have mustaches and goatees? And if so, what colour were they? Real living geckos and real geckos that appear to be limbless belong to the group Geckota. In real life, living Geckotins and their possible fossil relatives can belong to the group Geckonomorpha. Real geckos can have protuberances other than the setae on their toes. Both real adhesive toe pads and fictional moustaches and goatees are thought to have evolved from real protuberances on geckos, and both real adhesive toe pads and fictional moustaches and goatees have evolved multiple times. If geckonomorphs had adhesive toe pads, then other protuberances may have been present from which fictional moustaches and goatees could evolve. Real authors have found similarities of digit structure between the possible geckonomorph called Eichstetisaurus and primitively padless geckos. This means I am uncertain as to whether fictional geckonomorphs would develop goatees and moustaches. Here's a non-fiction part of the video. Scientists can look at the remains of organelles called melanosomes in fossils to see what colour feathers were. In some animals, pigments called carotenoids can be red and orange and can be contained within organelles called carotenoid vesicles. Pteridine pigments can be yellow and can be found in organelles called pterinosomes. Melanin can be black and brown and can be found in organelles called melanosomes. And there can also be organelles called reflective platelets, which can contain so-called crystals which produce structural colours. Here's a fictional part of the video. By looking at the remains of the pigment organelles in fossil geckonomorphs, moustaches and goatees, scientists can try and figure out what colour the fossil animals' moustaches and goatees were. Pterinosomes were found in one geckonomorph's moustache and goatee. This may have led to the moustache and goatee being reconstructed as yellow, as pteridines in real life can be yellow. Real female lizards can actually have orange ornaments that correlate with the concentration of the pteridine Drossopteran and not carotenoids. Because of this, the fictional geckonomorph with pterinosomes in its facial hair may actually have had an orange moustache and goatee. Thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed. To test whether moustaches and goatees help geckos get a mate, 100 male geckos with goatees and moustaches were split into two groups. In one group, the geckos' moustaches and goatees were shaved, and in the other group, the geckos' moustaches and goatees remained intact. How many geckos mated in each group was measured. There were 50 geckos in each group, and 32 geckos with moustaches and goatees mated, whereas out of the geckos with shaved moustaches and goatees, only 11 mated. With this information, a chi-squared test was conducted. If there was no difference, 25 shaved geckos may mate, and 25 unshaved geckos may mate. If 24 shaved geckos mated, but 26 unshaved geckos mated, this may just be down to the sample, and there may be no difference. If 22 shaved geckos mated and 28 unshaved geckos mated, is the difference just down to the sample, and not that mustaches and goatees affect mating? What about if 20 shaved geckos mated and 30 unshaved geckos mated? Is that just down to the sample, and not that mustaches and goatees affect mating? To find whether the 11 shaved geckos mating and 32 unshaved geckos mating was just down to the sample, or whether geckos' mustaches and goatees affect whether they get a mate. A real test called a chi-squared test was conducted, which can test this with real data in real life. I actually did the maths for this and just used a calculator instead of statistics software, and I did this as statistics revision for college. The null hypothesis was that there is no difference between the amount of unshaved geckos that mate and the amount of shaved geckos that mate. The chi-squared value was 17.99265,606, and I haven't rounded that yet or whatever. And this is greater than 3.841, which was another value I used in the test, and therefore the null hypothesis was rejected. So I don't know if in real life there would be results for 50 geckos in each group, as something may happen to some of the geckos. Thanks for watching, I hope you enjoy. Paintbrushes can help transfer pollen in real life. Members of the real gecko genus Phelsuma can get called day geckos in real life. Real Phelsuma geckos can consume nectar, and pollen might get caught in fictional geckos' mustaches and goatees, which may transfer the pollen to other plants, helping in pollination. In real life, nectar can be red, and research suggests real Phelsuma geckos are attracted to a red pigment that can be in nectar. Real Phelsuma geckos are thought to have red photoreceptors as well. In the fictional world, nectar and the day gecko's mustaches and goatees may be the same colour, as the geckos may be attracted to red nectar, and so the colour red in mustaches and goatees would attract other geckos, and the geckos may be attracted to red mustaches and goatees, and so the nectar being red would attract the geckos to the nectar as well. Real Phelsuma geckos can be active during the day, and I'm not sure real nocturnal / active at night geckos can distinguish red. And if the fossil geckonomorph in a previous part couldn't distinguish orange as well. Orange or yellow may not have been the best colour for its moustache and goatee. Thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed. In real life, lizards can have femoral pores around an area called a vent, and in real life, geckos can defecate out of the vent area. Real femoral pores in lizards release pheromones, and real geckos can actually lick their own vent. When fictional geckos with moustaches and goatees lick their own vents, pheromones from the femoral pores get caught in their moustaches and goatees. The hairs have a large surface area, and in real life a higher surface area may mean a higher rate of evaporation, and this may allow pheromones to be dispersed by evaporation from the fictional moustaches and goatees. In real life, insect setae can actually be used as an area with high surface area from which pheromones can be dispersed by evaporation. I'm not sure if the real microscopic protuberances on geckos are around their vent, so I don't know how that would affect things. In real animals like crustaceans, setae can have branches called setials, and in real animals some setae can apparently be leaf-shaped. If the fictional gecko's facial hair was branched, it may increase the surface area. I'm not sure about that. Similarly, in real life, flat leaves may have a higher surface area than needle-like leaves, and so fictional geckos' facial hair may look like leaves in some geckos. In real life, species of Goatees geckos, active during the day, aren't known to vocalize, whereas a real Goatees gecko that may have became nocturnal, called Goatees antilensis, can vocalize in real life. This suggests the fictional geckos active at night may rely more on scent than the fictional geckos active during the day, due to there being less light. Therefore, while I'm not sure the geckos with facial hair would need branched hair or leaf-like hair, fictional geckos active at night may have facial hair which increase surface area more than geckos active during the day. The hairs may just have an aspect ratio which may allow for more evaporation of pheromones, so like length relative to width. Thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed. Non-fiction. Some people argue for using sand for reptiles, and some people argue against it. While it has been said loose substrates allow leopard geckos to dig, which may be enrichment, reptiles may consume a bit of sand, and it has also been said sand causes blockages of the digestive tract, and this blockage is known as impaction. It was also said that impaction is due to an underlying problem, like hair, and can happen with other things, like insect chitin as well. Calcium sand, though, was said to neutralize stomach acid. Fiction. In the fictional world, sand has also been argued to cause impaction. Sand can get caught in geckos' moustaches and goatees, and when geckos lick their facial hair, they may ingest sand, leading to more chance of an impaction than if they lacked facial hair. As geckos' facial hair may have certain functions, the fictional geckos with facial hair may not lick that area as much though. Because in some geckos, generally the males have the facial hair, but the females don't. Some gecko owners even kept female geckos on sand, but male geckos on substrates like paper towel, out of fear of impaction due to the facial hair. In real life, it has been said that finer grained sand would pass through reptiles more easily and be less likely to cause impaction. In the fictional world, this argument was also made. Smaller grains may, however, be lighter and have a larger surface area to volume ratio, which may lead to more of the finer grains getting caught in the mustaches and goatees than the larger grains. Thanks for watching, I hope you enjoy. Are geckos' mustaches and goatees an organ system? Non-fiction. Tissues are cells with similar structure and function working together. Organs are tissues working together to perform a function, and organ systems are multiple organs working together to perform a function. Skin is an organ, blood has been called an organ, and hair follicles have been called organs. Feathers have also been called organs. Fiction. Geckos with mustaches and goatees may have multiple hairs and so have multiple organs working together to perform functions. Non-fiction. In real life, though, organs can come in pairs. However, these can be included as part of organ systems that include other parts as well. You may say they have to be different organs to be an organ system. However, when fictional geckos lick their vent, they may transfer pheromones from glands to their mustaches and goatees, and the facial hair's large surface area may increase the pheromones dispersal by evaporation. This means other organs like glands may be involved in the system, meaning multiple different organs may be involved. Non-fiction. In real life, hair and skin and some glands come under the integumentary system, and fictional geckos' mustaches and goatees may just count as part of the integumentary system. Real geckos can stick to surfaces, and in real life, the term adhesive system has been used. While I'm not sure the adhesive system is an organ system, I like the sound of a fictional goateesive system. The goateesive system's functions may not be complex enough for it to be considered an organ system, though. In real life, some sexually dimorphic traits may be costly to get mates. Fictional geckos, mustaches and goatees may get larger as the gecko's mustaches and goatees get larger and larger. The mustaches may get in the way of their vision. Non-fiction. In crustaceans called ostracods, fossils were looked at. The paper says species with more pronounced sexual dimorphism, indicating high levels of male investment in reproduction, had estimated extinction rates 10 times higher than those of the species with the lowest investment. Fiction. The mustaches and goatees may therefore cause geckos to go extinct. Not all geckos in the fictional world have mustaches and goatees, though. There are real anole lizards with appendages, and these aren't geckos. And in the fictional world, there are anoles with mustaches and goatees, as well as appendages. The appendages may be used to get a mate, and some mustaches and goatees may be smaller as they may not need to be as large. Would the appendages make the anole lizards go extinct, though? In the future, some geckos were evolving intelligence and walked on 2 legs, but these geckos were also evolving mustaches and goatees. Would the mustaches and goatees wipe the gecko species out before it got to a stage of civilization? In real life, what has happened to evolution in humans? Has it slowed down? If the intelligent geckos got to the point of civilization, could their rate of evolution change? And could they stop their mustaches and goatees from killing them? Bear in mind there are different ways animals can evolve, like natural selection and sexual selection. The intelligent gecko may be less plausible, and so you don't need to consider the intelligent gecko's canon. And if gecko descendants evolved intelligence, they may not resemble geckos as much. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Thanks. Warning talks about killing. The fictional world had its own fiction. Here is one piece. There was a killer about. The killer was active at night. There were hairs found at the scene, but the hairs were inhuman. This was no ordinary killer. The killer was a gecko, and the hairs were from its mustache and goatee. The hairs were analyzed. Non-fiction part. Investigators can tell if people have been taking drugs by hair. Heavy metals can be detected from snake shed skin, and a stress hormone in amphibians and reptiles called corticosterone can be detected from lizard shed skin. Fiction part. By looking at the gecko's mustache and goatee hair, the investigators found that the gecko was on drugs and suspected from the hairs that it lived in a dark, abandoned metal factory, and that it may have had orange hairs. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. In some geckos, the mustache evolved into quills and moved to other regions of the gecko, but the goatees may have remained. The yellow and black may inform predators that the gecko is dangerous and to not try to eat them. However, there is another reason for the colours. In the Dadaism artwork, a moustache and goatee was just added to a print of the Mona Lisa. Similarly, for this project, a rule is that I can't draw any new geckos for the purpose of the project, and I'm just drawing on drawings I've already made. And like the Dada artwork, I've just been drawing the moustaches and goatees on drawings I've already drawn. And I've been doing this in Microsoft Paint. I only have a limited amount of drawings, and a lot of my drawings aren't regular drawings of geckos, and for some of the drawings I've cropped them. I chose the drawing to add the quills to because it seemed the most fitting, and that may be a reason for the colour of the gecko. Thanks for watching, I hope you enjoy. Geckos can have real protuberances, and in real life, the protuberances can even be on geckos' heads. In the fictional world, moustaches and goatees may have evolved from these real protuberances. Non-fiction. Moth larvae can eat hair and feathers. Feathers contain what was formerly known as beta-carotene, and bacteria can degrade feathers and the formerly known beta-carotene. Fiction. Geckos' moustache and goatee hairs can be eaten by moth larvae and bacteria. For the picture of a moth larva, I actually used the waxworm from a drawing I did when I was a kid. I think mealworms actually turn into beetles, not moths, but I think waxworms turn into moths. Thanks. Warning. If you're sensitive to visual stimuli, this next part may be overstimulating. What if, in another world, evolving larger moustaches and goatees to get mates didn't make the geckos go extinct, and their facial hair just kept getting larger and larger? When I've been doing this project, I've been trying to complete my college course, and I'm not sure I've been feeling that mentally well. These two pictures were made when I had just under a week to complete the course. In the first drawing, it's like the facial hair transitioning into hair hands, splitting into more hands, which then become smaller hands, like a fractal. This is a bit like a Doctor Strange scene. The second artwork is based on a Jackson Pollock painting, which was apparently meant to be the artist's unconscious. I tried not to give the artwork too much conscious thought. This is all meant to be one gecko's facial hair. Thanks for watching, I hope you enjoy. Some geckos' moustaches and goatees grew into cars made of hair that the geckos then drive around in, possibly inspired by a brain chair and brain elephant meme. Thanks. Some geckos may develop a relationship with photosynthesizing organisms. The gecko's toe pads may turn into leaf-shaped parts for photosynthesis, and the gecko's facial hair may develop into root-like parts. The roots could maybe be a bit larger than in the drawing. I was then given an extra 5 days to complete the college course. To compete for mates, some geckos use their goatees to arm wrestle each other. The winner may get a mate. Thanks for watching, I hope you enjoy. I've used Microsoft PowerPoint as well as Microsoft Paint for the project. Non-fiction. Proteins that were formerly known as beta-carotene can be found in feathers and also in gecko's setae, and gecko's setae can be hair-like. Beta-carotene can contain an amino acid called cysteine. This amino acid can contain sulfur. Fiction. The beta-carotene in geckos' mustaches and goatees may contain cysteine and therefore contains sulfur. Non-fiction. Sulfur can be found in minerals and in gases released by volcanoes. The mineral pyrite can appear golden and can be made of iron sulfide. Fiction. Over time, the sulfur that was previously in geckos' mustaches and goatees may end up in gases released by volcanoes and may end up being incorporated into the minerals like pyrite. In real life, some organisms may take up lighter, stable isotopes of sulfur as opposed to heavier, stable isotopes of sulfur. The fictional gecko's facial hair may contain lighter, stable isotopes of sulfur. Sulfur in pyrite that originated from the gecko's hair may be lighter, stable isotopes. Pyrite geckos may be metaphysical entities and may exist in the multiverse. These entities may be remnants of geckos and may be tied to the sulfur in pyrite that originated from geckos' facial hair. Thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed. I've now completed the college course, and the course can allow people to go to university. I'm 22 though.
What are you doing, Dougal?
I was just looking at some of the hairy babies from today. There's something about them.
Let's see. Oh my God.
What?
This is a terrible thing to say. But if you took this baby's mustache, this baby's head hair, and this baby's sideboards and put them together, I think you'd get Pat Mustard.
Do you think the babies are copying his style?
No, Dougal, I think it's more likely that that Pat Mustard has been, delivering more than dairy products.
No. You mean he's been... No.
The audio was from an episode of the show Father Ted with a milkman in called Pat Mustard. Because the Pat Mustard gecko is reproducing a lot, this means that lots of the geckos hatching had him as a father. This means the gecko species' genetic diversity decreases, and this causes the gecko species to go extinct quicker. Some of my concepts may not be as plausible, and so you don't have to think of those concepts shown as part of the main universe, and they may instead belong to alternate universes. Those concepts are intelligent geckos, a killer gecko, geckos with extremely large facial hair, pyrite geckos, which are metaphysical entities, and a Pat Mustard gecko. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and have a nice whatever time it is in your time zone. Thanks. Bye. I don't actually have a goatee. Thanks. I went through a phase where I made animal art with moss and lichen. An example is that I used feathery looking moss to make an axolotl's feathery gills. In a concept for a fictional gecko's facial hair, hairs were branched to supposedly increase surface area for pheromone dispersal by evaporation. I'm not sure that would work though. I think some moss looks like the branched hairs, and so I edited moss onto a gecko drawing. The moss is therefore meant to represent the branched facial hairs of fictional geckos. Thanks.